that you are well and that you are so blessed. So I'll be speaking on Daniel chapter 6 today, which personally for me is such a significant chapter within the book of Daniel. So at this point we know that there was a new king that was appointed, which was King Darius, and he had now also appointed 120 satraps as well as 3 administrators to oversee them to ensure that the kingdom actually suffered no losses. So Daniel was actually one of these administrators, and because he possessed such great qualities and stood out from the rest of the men, the king actually wanted to set him over the entire kingdom. So naturally, the other men weren't happy about it, and they tried to find grounds in which they could charge Daniel. But because Daniel wasn't negligent and he wasn't corrupt, on the contrary, he was actually really trustworthy. They struggled to find anything, and they soon realized that they won't be able to charge him with anything unless it came to a law of his God. So the men amongst themselves then decided and agreed that they're going to go to the king and they're going to tell the king to draw up a decree that won't be able to be repealed, where for 30 days that nobody in the kingdom would be able to pray or worship any other god besides him. And if anybody was guilty of that, they would actually be thrown into the lion's den. The king then agreed and he signed the decree, and he wasn't aware that this was actually a plot against Daniel. So when Daniel was made known of this, he actually continued to go down on his knees and pray to God every single day, 3 times a day, and just thank him. And when the men had seen this, they actually went back to the king and reminded him of the decree. And the king was very stressed out, and he actually tried his utmost to save Daniel. When it came to the king having to order Daniel to be thrown into the den, the king said to Daniel, let the God that you serve, let him rescue you. So a stone was cast in front of the lion's den, and Daniel was put in there. And the next day the king, he couldn't sleep, and he went there and he called out to Daniel, and Daniel responded to him. And Daniel, he was so the king was so happy when he heard Daniel's voice. And Daniel told the king that God sent an angel to silence the mouth of the lion, and because of Daniel's innocence, and because Daniel actually never wronged the king, God saved him. The king ordered for Daniel to be removed from the lion's den, and he saw that there was not a scratch or a wound on Daniel. And he then ordered that the men who falsely accused Daniel, as well as their wives and kids, had to be thrown into the lion's den. He then decreed, he said that decree to the rest of the kingdom to say that the people are to serve this God-fearing God that Daniel serves. So personally for me, what I took from that was that we all go through so many things, and sometimes we don't think that God is with us, but the story of Daniel in the lion's den just reminds us that the God that we serve is bigger than any problem that we have, and that we need to continue to trust in him. We need to continue to be faithful in prayer, and that he will see us through any situation that we face.